I'm glad you made it here. Finding funding for your business does not have to be rocket science. That's a lot of else, right? Finding funding for your business. Now, this is what you need to do. If you own one of those good old Apple phones, go ahead and take out your notepad. Or if you got I don't know if people still carry a pad and pencil or pad and pen around, but you do want to take some notes, because I'm going to give you some valuable content that you can use right here without going any further than this, that'll help your business get off to a start of at least knowing where to go to find funding and better preparing itself as a business entity to receive that funding. Now, if you got a Samsung, I don't know what you're doing, but we thank you for watching. What we found is, and I say we, through being in business, I started business back in 2013 with my dad. We were operating food carts and food trucks, and we branched our way into the restaurant business. Now, my father has always been an entrepreneur, and growing up through catering, owning nightclubs, pool halls, I would always just be up under his umbrella when I visited. As I got older, I got in business with him. Now, we started our business through self-funding, which is a lot of ways that people get into business. They get into business through self-funding. I know better now, so with $90,000 later, I gotta say I know better, right? Because that's $90,000 that back in 2015, after we were in the food cart and mobile food industry, when we decided to get back into a brick and mortar, it was a $90,000 goal. It was a $90,000 funding of self-funding of money that we had ourselves saved and stored to go into that business. So I never do it like that again, and this is why you're here, to show you that you don't have to do it like that. You don't have to put your hard work money into a business. I can't say that it was bad. We started a restaurant called The Smoke Shack back in 2016. Actually, is when we had our grand opening. We did wonderful. We were open only 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we were doing anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a month. Open 3 days a week. You know, we did over $500,000, and I'm gonna say we were bringing in about 15% of that. So we were right at about $90,000, and when it was flowing to the point where you didn't have to be there, that's awesome. Yet we were bought out, and we had to change places due to certain circumstances, and that hurt us. So just as a lot of you all now leading up to this point, back in 2020, we were back in the restaurant business again, and COVID hit and knocked a lot of people out, including yourself. I'm pretty sure it may have knocked you out or tried to knock you out, right? And so then we had to really get back to the basics. We had to get back to reading and in that discovery mode. And through that discovery mode, what we were able to do is, just for our business alone, was able to help raise over $170,000 of free money last year. Through doing that, as I had changed professions into becoming a real estate agent and more of a business mogul in my area, I would say, I just started preaching the gospel of business and passing the word. And through that, was able to help over millions of people get COVID-related funding, state-related funding, and even city-related funding. So if you made it this far and you're still listening, I'm here to say that, we have a credible track record. We've been through the loops. Most funding is public knowledge. So when somebody telling you a lie about funding, usually you can just go check them out, right? You can go, that stuff is usually public record. So we have no need to do that. The whole goal here is for us to make funding less of a headache for you, and also to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row when the opportunity is available, because that's the biggest thing. Most of the time, it's not that there isn't the funding. It's more oftentimes that there is the funding, but you're not prepared for it. So I'm going to talk to you about the 3 main levels of funding that most people probably know but don't necessarily think about. And then I'm going to give you a bonus. And that bonus is essential. And that bonus takes courage, and that bonus takes you getting out your way. I know this is a unconventional type of training, if you would, information, but I like to give it to you just like we was talking in person, and hopefully we'll get to talk one-on-one, and you can talk to me as a as an expert and some of our experts to fine tune what you need. So I'm gonna go back to the whiteboard and we're gonna talk about right now where you can go no matter where you're at across the nation, where you can go to find funding. So the first place, I'm gonna do these from easiest to hardest just to kind of keep it simple. Hopefully everything shows up good with this red marker. So number one, you want to go to your city / county. So you want to go to your city or county. Why do you want to go there? Well, it's a lot smaller, and normally they have funds stored up for businesses there, whether it may be something simple like a sign budget or a sign grant or a marketing grant. You want to check with wherever you're at, your economic development or business development center, and to see what they're offering. Now this is the thing, you got to understand, a few people in your area know about this, and so a lot of times they've already built a relationship with those people there. So your job is not necessarily just to go there with the mind of I'm gonna get funding, but it's the mind to start building and cultivating their relationship. So if they have networking events there, you want to be there. If they have some kind of board to be on, you want to try to get on there, because the more that you know a person or have a relationship, the more likely they are to help you. You don't think this is true? I'll never forget, I was in Applebee's. I was ordering some to-go food. I ran into this dude, weird dude to me, but I ran into this dude. He was from Charlotte. I'm not in Charlotte no more, but I grew up in Charlotte, pretty much was raised in Charlotte, I should say. But he was in my area, Anderson, South Carolina, for some comic game type deal. So something, it was weird to me. I ain't saying it's weird if you into that, right? But me and him, it was about 8 people at the bar, but me and him were the only people who were talking to each other at the bar. Everybody else was kind of in their phones doing their own thing. So some kind of way we got on business, and it was crazy because I only knew this man for maybe 15-20 minutes. And I told him, I said, you know what? Business is such a relationship thing. I say, because I don't know anybody else in this Applebee's right now. If I was to go outside to my car and have a flat tire and I didn't have what was necessary to change it, I say, man, the first person that I would feel comfortable in the coming in to ask for help would be you. And it was a strange, weird comic book dude. And why is that? Because we had a 15 to 20 minute conversation, and he made me feel more comfortable and likable than anybody else, because they didn't say anything and we just wasn't on, we weren't talking. So the same thing when it comes to the business funding with your city or with your county. It's a lot easier for them to have a face-to-face association with you, because you come frequently or they see you frequently or hear about you frequently, than not. It's a little bit easier for them to say, hey, yeah, we should look at, did you think about so-and-so's business? They always come. Because let's just be honest, that's how it goes on that level. So that level is a little bit easier. It's probably not the biggest amounts of funding. So, you're more than likely, if you're in a small city, they're not going to be giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars, but a couple hundred to thousands of dollar opportunities are definitely there. You need to go there first, because they're going to require the least amount of stuff that you have to show, maybe like a city business license, and they may even help you get that. So go to your city and county first. The second place that you want to go to is on the state level. So the state level, that's for your state level funding. Now, I'm in South Carolina, and no matter where your state is, they all have funding. Just off the top of my head right now, I know New Orleans has funding. California has funding. New York and New Jersey has a lot of funding. Within my state, Charleston has funding. Georgia has minority funding. Florida has some funding going on. Virginia. Those are just the places off the top of my head. South Carolina as a state doesn't have a lot of funding going on right now. And maybe your state, but your city or your county may have a little bit more. But the second place, again, you want to go to is a state. It's going to be a little bit tougher than the county, city level. Yet the funding opportunity will be a little bit bigger. Last year, we were funded, Mattisson's Barbecue, doing business as Winging It, was funded through our state of South Carolina through the Accelerate program, which was a small business funding for minorities and small business owners, nonprofit and for-profit, and we were able to receive the maximum award of $25,000. Again, that's on Accelerate SC, and they had these for North Carolina, and they had it for different, because what happens is the state gets funded and then they pass out the funding. So even at the state level, let me tell you this, because it is so crazy that it still goes down to relationships, right? To an extent, and I'm gonna show you why. When I was looking at all the awardees for the state level, our Columbia, South Carolina is our capital. So our Secretary of State is all down in Columbia. So whenever you had to call about your grant, you had to call to Columbia. Now I don't know where your capital is. It was very ironic that most of the awardees for the state funding were from a 30 to 40 mile radius of Columbia, South Carolina. I'm gonna say a good 70%. So as you got out of that area, it wasn't as many awardees. So that still shows you how big relationships are, even on a state level. Yet I say all that to say, you need to look at your state level and to see, go to your Secretary of State, just Google your state grants. A lot of grants are deemed through nonprofits, and how to know if it's a true nonprofit, usually at the end it says .org. So that's a good way to know as well. So the state definitely has some good opportunities. Again, look for the words accelerate. Those are good words when you're looking for state funding. Number 3 is the United I call this the United National Way. And I say this, the Paycheck Protection Program got a lot of people's mind warped and believing, and it got them messed up in believing that their business is ready now for a United National Way of funding, and it's not. The program was so good, it came at a time of need during the pandemic, but what happened is a lot of the businesses aren't really set up to get any national funding that receive the PPP. So with this type of video, as I go into the next phase to show you, because this is where you go, I'm gonna show you how you need to be set up to receive these funds. With the PPP, what it did is it let people get funding on a national way, which they wouldn't even got on the county or state way, which means they didn't even literally have to file their taxes. They didn't ask for no transcript. It was a draft, and they funded people up to some maximum amounts off of a draft. So the program was so good that it kind of warped minds, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure you're set up for national funding, because this is going to be your biggest pot of money. This is going to be the $1 million grants and the $100,000 grants and things of that sort. You know, my biggest amount of funding outside of the PPP has come from the national way of funding. And in order to do that, you have to be set up properly. So I'm gonna tell you what you definitely gonna need, want to have. So set yourself up. Funding. So to set yourself up for funding, there are a couple things that you definitely want to have and you want to be as a business, okay? So you want to be registered. You want to be registered with your state. So you want to, if you have a Secretary of State, you want to make sure you register your company with that Secretary of State. Whether you do an LLC, S Corp, that's a whole different conversation. But you want to get registered because that builds your credibility, and it's public. They can go there and they can see if your business is in good standings and how long it's been eligible. So that's you definitely want to do that, and we help with that as well. If you need help to make sure that you're doing that properly, we help with that, and we like to do that one-on-one. We like to be intimate with that. That way you can see what we're doing, and we can make sure that we're getting you in there properly. So you want to register with your state. You want to get you an EIN. EIN number is free. You can get that online with the government site, but you want to have that. That's pretty much like a business social, okay? Because a lot of times they're going to ask you for your EIN number. You want to make sure you got a website. That's big. The website is very important nowadays. The people who give out the grants, they want to be able to go look at your website, see what you're about, see if you've been funded before, and a lot of times they even want to see a piece of your financial record. It just helps them better make a decision. Those are the three main things you want to have. Now I'm gonna tell you some pluses, okay? Some pluses are if you do have a brick and mortar. So if you do have a physical place that you do business, that's a plus. That's a plus. If you have business emails, that's a plus. If you have a Duns and Sam's number, that's a big plus. And for some, a lot of times it's a necessity. The Duns is a necessity of having the Sam's. You have to have a Duns to get a Sam's number. So those are other things that we're able to help out with as well. Because you want to have all these things to set yourself up for funding. You want to have your business bank account. You know, you want to have making transactions with that. There are other pluses on how you could get help with funding is through certain point of sale systems like PayPal, through Square, through Cabbage. You know, even Toast now offers certain funding. So you want to start establishing the relationships. See, relationships is the most important thing in business, and what we do at Fund My Business is we make sure that you're set up properly to have those conversations, whether it's on a county level, a state level, or a big united national level. We want you to be set up to have the proper conversation. You know, what do you look like when you're going to talk? If you were going to talk to the President of the United States, you probably would dress appropriately. You know, so we want to make sure that your business is dressed appropriately to be able to get the funding that it needs. So everybody's case is different. It don't matter if you got 1 employee or 20 employees. We can help. You know, our goal is to be able to help 100 new clients by the end of this year. It's not a crazy goal, but it's the goal and where we can be able to stay intimate and be able to talk to you one-on-one and personalize your situation. That way you have a peace of mind to knowing that as long as you're dealing with us, that we're always looking for funding for you, keeping you abreast of it, and never letting you miss that opportunity again. So don't miss your time to go ahead and set up that one-on-one. Make that investment into yourself to set up that one-on-one time that we sit down and we discover what's going on with your business, what's not. Do we need to help you with a website? Do we need to help you with your offer? You know, do we need to help you with your marketing? Where do we need to step in at just to make you better all in business? And while we're doing that, while you're getting better in business, we're doing the due diligence to find the funding for you and keep your business out your pockets, in your pockets. Hey, don't start off with the 90 grand just like we did and have to start all over again. It's a real reason that we do this. I don't want to see that happen to nobody else if we can help it. So appreciate y'all. Follow the link. It's gonna be good for you. Thank you for coming to Fund My Biz.